Good morning everyone, today we're going to be talking about my first impressions of Diablo 4 because I've sunk a lot of hours into this game right now. It's only been out for like 2 to 3 days, but nevertheless the game is fantastic. The very first thing I want to give kudos to Blizzard is actually the launch of Diablo 4. I was there for the launch of Diablo 3. It was catastrophic. And Diablo 4 was actually pretty flawless. The servers came up 10 minutes early actually, and so if you were fast and you were waiting and like spamming the login thing, you were able to get into the game without a queue. It was pretty amazing. However, I had a lot of technical issues, but it wasn't through the launcher, it was actually my PC. So in order to launch the game, you needed to reset your Blizzard client in order to launch the game, because that's how it worked. And so I reset the Blizzard launcher, and then my hard drive just straight up hard crash. It wouldn't launch Battle.net, and it would just straight up just hard crash my PC. And I was like, what on earth is going on? And then later on, I found out it was my hard drive. You know, my hard drive is a little bit old. It kind of needed to be replaced. So I had to go through like 2 hours of troubleshooting in order to get everything running. But even after 2 hours, there was no queue. I was able to just boop, and I was into the game easy peasy. Now we're going to have to see, of course, on June 6th when the game releases to everyone, we're going to see how the game handles. But so far, with only the early access people being able to play the game has been running flawlessly. In the open beta, I had this really bad issue of rubber banding. I would always rubber band backwards or forwards, or I wouldn't be able to get out of town or go through different loading screens. I put quotation loading screens because there isn't really any loading screens in the open world. But when you go in between zones, like I would rubber band backwards and I wouldn't be able to go to the next zone and I have to relog. That was an issue I had in the open beta. However, in the final version of the game, that is not an issue. I haven't encountered that at all actually. I've completed the entire campaign. The campaign is alright. I'm not going to give any spoilers, but I wasn't the biggest fan of the conclusion of the campaign. There was a lot of build up, and I was like anticipating something super epic at grandiose scale battle or something along those lines. And we got that sort of, but I'm just not the biggest fan of the story itself. It didn't finish strong. It just kind of went like, eh. But that's okay because the Diablo series never really had a strong story. Diablo 3 story was pretty meh as well. So that doesn't matter because the gameplay is absolutely fantastic for this game. I love the combat. I love the progression system. I love all the different endgame activities you can do. Now I say endgame, but technically I'm not even close to endgame. I have just unlocked the nightmare difficulty. After you complete the campaign, you can come back to Kyovashad, which is like the main town or like the beginner town, and up here at the cathedral there's going to be a new dungeon, and when you complete that dungeon you unlock the nightmare difficulty. Now keep in mind, all of the mobs in this Capstone Dungeon are level 50 and they hit like a truck. The reason I say this is because I played the entire campaign on adventure mode, so super easy, breeze through it. There were a couple parts where I struggled a little bit because I was beelining the main storyline. I was ignoring all side quests. I wasn't grinding. I wasn't doing anything. I was just like story, let me know what the heck's going on. And so by the time I actually got to like the quote unquote hard part, I was level 40 and all of the mobs were level 45. And so I got my ass handed to me and it was very, very difficult. So if you do want a more smooth progression, I would recommend maybe running veteran, but adventure mode is definitely a lot easier and a lot more streamlined and just like more chill. Just keep in mind, at a certain part of the story you probably want to do a little bit of grinding just to get a little bit more levels, because all of the mobs are going to be significantly higher level than you and just whoop your butt. But back to the Capstone Dungeon, this was so fun because I was obliterating everything in adventure mode and I was like, oh my god, I'm so powerful, this game is so easy. I went to veteran mode and I was like, okay, crap, you know, I gotta think a little bit. These mobs are a little bit tougher. Instead of deleting all the enemies in 1 second, it would take like 3 seconds to kill. But when we went into the Capstone Dungeon, I was still under leveled. I was like level 47 when I went in and all the mobs were level 50. This was a challenge. I actually had to stay focused and it was not a cakewalk. It was actually a little bit challenging, but it was very fun and very rewarding after I completed it because we unlocked nightmare mode. I came in here at level 48 and let me tell you, life is hard at level 48. A lot of the enemies in Nightmare mode could literally one-shot me, because I am playing a rogue, by the way. I'm sorry I didn't cover anything about my class itself. But back to my overall impressions of the game is good, guys. Is it $90 good? Maybe not, but for the original price, the normal price, I think it's like $70. I think it's all right. For $70 for this game, I think is fantastic. I wouldn't really pay the extra money for the extra 4 days or whatever, unless you're super desperate, you've got nothing to do, and you just really want to play Diablo, then sure, you know, pay it. But, you know, 2 days have already gone. It's literally 2 days left until the game comes out for everyone else. So you might as well just wait it out. Just watch some anime or like a TV show and the time will go by fast enough. But Diablo 4 has lived up to my expectations. It is amazing, it is fun, and the best part is the combat system and the grinding and the endgame stuff. It doesn't get boring. Like, you grind all the dungeons over and over and over, but there's different endgame activities that you can do in order to get legendaries and get endgame gear as well. So you're not stuck just rinsing and repeating the same activity over and over. You pick an activity that you like to do, you keep running it till you get bored, and then you swap to another activity, and it just feels good. All right, the game just feels good. And on top of all of this is the progression system. After you complete adventure and veteran mode, getting into nightmare mode, you unlock a whole new tier of items, which is significantly better than whatever you could farm for in adventure and veteran mode. So it's like, oh my goodness, you know, it feels like you starting from scratch again, because all of your current endgame gear in nightmare mode is pretty pitiful. And then you struggle a little bit, you gotta grind it out, you gotta power through it, you gotta use your brain and your mechanical prowess to overcome all of these challenges. And then you finally start getting the sacred gear, which only drops in nightmare mode, and it's like, oh my god, you get this huge power spike, you become super OP again, and you start grinding away. And then once you hit level 70, you can unlock torment mode by doing another capstone dungeon. Once you unlock that, you get ancestral items, which is even better than your sacred items. So the loot progression is really good, and it feels really nice to play the game because you're constantly searching for better gear, you're constantly upgrading stuff, and it just feels good to play the game. So at the end of the day, do I recommend Diablo 4? Heck yeah, I do. It's an amazing game, highly recommend, it's very fun.
Special thanks to all the members for supporting the channel, it really means a lot to me. Thank you again.
But yeah, that's all I wanted to cover in today's video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you did, I would appreciate a like and a subscribe, and I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video. Bye!